And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. Hello everyone, my name is Brian Reyes, and welcome to another daily devotional. Now today we're going to be reading page January 8th, and the title of the day is called My Hope is in You. It's easy to surf along during the good times and think that if you did a face plant or met up with a shark who wanted a piece of you, that you trust God and rely on him every bit as much during the dark times as you are right at that beautiful, wonderful, happy moment. It's another thing entirely to actually be spitting out salt water or trying to stop the bleeding from the stump of your arm or leg while you thrash around trying to get back to shore and still be able to trust that God has a plan and that everything will work together in the end for his glory and for good. Not only for your good, but the good of others too. That's exactly the situation in which Christian contemporary singer Aaron Shust and his wife Sarah found themselves when their second son, Nicky, was diagnosed with a rare disease called eosinophilic esophagitis, the EE. Nicky couldn't eat or swallow food because his esophagus was severely inflamed. He had the worst case doctors had ever seen, and there was no known cure. But Aaron and Sarah had talked about the fact that if God chose to bless them with children, they were only caretakers of those children. The children belonged to God, and however long God chose to let them live was his perfect plan. So they clung to God and his plan even during the darkness of their son's suffering. That's when an amazing thing happened. Nikki was taken for further testing, and doctors couldn't find any trace of the disease. A writer reporting on the story referred to their ordeal as a tragedy, but Aaron commented on the story himself, saying, I have never called what God took us through a tragedy. A tragedy implies, by definition, an unhappy ending, and while our boy still deals with aspects of EE, he is alive and happy and strong. And at age 2, he can quote John 1:1 and Matthew 5:16 verbatim. I'm a proud papa, more in love with my son and my Savior than I was a year ago. What we must remember when we're fighting against the darkness and pain of hard times is that all suffering is temporary. God's own son suffered and died, but he rose again. His suffering was temporary, and ours will be too. One day we'll be in heaven, and there will be no more suffering or sadness at all, ever. So even though little Nicky went into some rough times, he and his parents still trusting God to take care of him. And would you know it, he survived. See, it's miracles like this that hold people's faith up. And as I said before, nothing is impossible for God. What we all have to remember is that if we're suffering from something, it's not going to last long. All you have to remember is that God will always be there. You all remember the story when Jesus died on the cross for us. Everyone thought he was dead, but guess what? He rose again. Satan is using sadness as an enemy. He's trying to make us lose our faith in God. But this is why we have to remember that God is always with us. If Nikki's suffering went away, then I bet yours would too. You need the Bible, the prayer, and most importantly, the faith. This has been another daily devotional. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.